Right, bear with me, everybody, because I'm new to this, but I'm trying to figure it out, and I've got to promote Benjamin to the stage, add to stage. Yes. Benjamin, you should be live now.
Yes. Can you hear me?
Fantastic.
Yay, hurrah.
That's
great.
Perfect. Right, so we've got a few minutes before it all starts. So we'll wait for other attendees to join.
Sure.
It's always going to be a bit slow after the coffee break.
That's fine.
Yeah.
It's a bit excited, as always, of course.
Yeah. Now, do you have at the bottom of your screen,
do
you have additional buttons now that you could press to share what you need to share?
Yeah, I've got a share button and a more button, yeah.
Okay.
I will share my presentation. It's like 24 slides just to set the stage, so to speak.
Okay, sounds good. We've got, as you can see, if you've got the chat tab open on the right-hand side, there's a Q&A thing, which actually what I'll do is I will close that down because I think those are all from the previous, they must be from the previous session.
Yeah.
What we'll do at the end is I'll kind of read those back to you, so you don't have to worry about them too much. But just bear with me because this is the first time I've done it. I'm not technically proficient at all. So if we have a problem, then I will have to ping Peter or somebody to help.
That's fine. We'll manage together, right?
Okay. So I'll introduce you and explain how people, I mean, I should know already because they've been to a couple of sessions, but the difference between chat and Q&A. And also I'll remind you 5 minutes before the end that it's coming to a close. Okay. So just to confirm, it's 12:40 is the end time. So I'll remind you at 12:35.
Fair enough. Yeah, thanks.
Bit difficult for me because all of my clocks are in British summertime. So hour difference. So I might let you ramble on for an extra hour.
I'll try.
Okay. Which country are you in?
I'm in the Netherlands.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so near to Amsterdam, actually. So.
Oh, right. Bad luck about the football.
Yeah, let's not discuss that.
I'm sure you're supporting England tonight.
I'm really happy what you did, indeed.
We're not playing the best football in the world, but it works.
Yeah, and if you kicked out the Germans, you did a great job.
Yeah, it doesn't happen very often.
No, exactly. So and we always get beat by the Germans. Actually, also a lot of times by the Czechs. So I was like,
oh yeah,
here we go again.
Yeah, exactly. History does repeat itself.
Yeah, apparently so.
Yeah.
It is what it is.
It seems to be. It's really, as a football fan, it's interesting because the teams that are playing the most attractive football are not the teams that are getting through the tournament.
No.
And the teams that are getting through manage the game very well.
Yeah,
so
indeed.
They study the opposition and they figure out, if we do this, then they can't score. You isolate certain key players, and you squeeze the game, and that's the way you're going to win 1-0.
Yeah.
That's the way England do it. They 5 shots on goal, and 4 of them are goals, and that's it.
That's pretty efficient.
It's a bit of a Jose Mourinho kind of approach to the game. It's not terribly exciting, but it kind of works. It gets you through. So.
Yeah, it's analyzing their data really properly, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, they've done their homework.
Yeah.
Okay. You can. Do you want to wait a couple more minutes for more people? We've only got 2.
Sure. I'll already pop up my. That's fine. At least I got that out of the way.
Okay.
Perhaps it's only a small group, of course, people who are interested in this.
Do you want to start?
Sure. I can. Sure.
If you're happy, then I'll just give a quick introduction to Antoine and Piotr.
Yeah.
But I'm not the speaker. I'm the moderator. Benjamin's the speaker. If you have any questions, put it in the Q&A section and we'll read them out afterwards, or any other funny comments or anything, stick that in chat. And that's more or less all there is to it, really. Good luck, Benjamin, over to you.
Thanks. Also, yeah, thanks a lot. Today I want to talk to you about data definitions, or it's more of an open discussion, so to speak, because I'm also, well, not new to it, but I am in a new role, which kind of makes it different for me. So let me start by sorry, to go to the slides. Yeah, so who am I? My name is Benjamin, as you already heard. I've been in digital analytics actually for the past 10 years, worked at different companies, for-profit, non-profit, worked at a big financial institute, worked at an NGO in the publishing industry, and for the past 10 months actually, I've been working for the municipality in the Netherlands, one of the municipalities. Next to that, I have my own NGO that is focused on improving data literacy for other NGOs. So we help to, or at least we try to make them more data driven. Yeah, I love anything that has to do with tech or data. That also, yeah, that's something that I just love listening to or reading up on. And the last couple of months, I've been diving more into cryptocurrencies. Of course, it also has to do a lot for me to do with tech and data. Besides that, I've got 3 kids who are all sick at the moment. So after this talk, I must leave to attend to them. And I live in Zaandam, which is a place just above Amsterdam. It's almost through to Amsterdam, actually. Been born and raised in Amsterdam for the record. So the outset of what I want to talk to you about, and also, of course, really want to hear your thoughts about, is that, like I said, I've been working in the field of digital analytics a lot, but I moved now more into the field of capturing data from business or processes. I found it would be a nice change to do something else, still work with data, but then within a different industry and also in a different type of culture. And I would describe where we are now as like in the early stage of capturing data. So of course we have dashboards set up. We are capturing data. Some people are proficient with data. Some other colleagues are not. The division I'm in consists of about 1,400 people. Just so to set the stage a bit. And I would say like most of those people are not really proficient with data. The data that we capture is partly based on automated registration. So some data is just coming in as people register, but a lot of the data that we actually capture is based on conversations that my colleagues have with clients. So it's really based on talks they have with clients and chats they have with clients, and then they register data. And of course, this data is being collected. We have a lot of different definitions, and that's of course what this talk is going to be about. And last but not least, we have more than 15 applications that capture this data. And so that those are like the lowest level of applications that capture the data, and then it's being processed into a data warehouse that sits on top of that. And so this is kind of the outset, which I want to also ask you questions about it. So let me try to visualize it a little bit more. I'm wondering if there's any questions on this so far, and if not, then I'll move to the next slide. I don't see any. Okay, so just to visualize the definitions and why I really want to talk to you about this. So I made like a really easy example, so it becomes hopefully more clear on what the challenge is that we're facing. So as I said in the previous slide, we talk to clients, right? And so what happens then, we create a dashboard and it says, well, we talk to 10 clients. But so the issue lies in the word client in this case. This client can be an individual person like me or you or anyone you know, but it can also be a family. And as you can see, when you say 10 clients, then do we mean 10 clients as individual people? Or do we mean 10 clients as 10 families that consist perhaps out of 50 people? And this is the issue that we're facing actually. And so what I actually wanted to talk to you about, and these are the questions I have. How do you register definitions of what data is being collected? Put a lot of sub-questions below of it. And if there's time, how do you register the quality of your data implementation? So based on, of course, the definitions that you create, then I would also love to, see what the quality of that data is. So this is the outset, and I was wondering if you have questions when you see this, and of course I can take you a little bit along the lines of what we have been doing so far. Just looking at the chat and Q&A screen, and I don't see any point.
Benjamin, what I'm going to do is, Antoine is the only audience member, so I'm going to invite Antoine onto the stage, which basically means he can turn his camera on and microphone on, and then maybe we could have a three-way chat about this.
Sure.
If that's all right with Antoine. If not, then don't accept this invitation. So I pushed you onto the stage, Antoine.
Hi, Antoine.
So I was interested by this session because actually I have some kind of question for. I'm running tools for the data part of an experimentation platform on the e-commerce website. Yeah. And I'm afraid sometimes it's the number of will explode, and it's hard to have an understand and precise KPI name in my point of view, because there are a lot of ways to compute a metric, and some it may change depending on the context. And I want it to be precise, transparent, and easily understandable. But to be honest, it's not an easy point. I was inspired by I think I don't remember if it was Airbnb or a company, but has created how can I say what was talked about all the data, not data definition, but the kind of repository. And they say that each metric was in fact based on a dimension. How can I say? Talking about conversion rates. The subject of the conversion rate may be the session. And sometimes you may add other dimension to segment your conversion rate other way, and even you can try to, what can I say, make it. Sometimes the metric may be hard to summarize. For instance, if I want to compute the conversion rate, the user conversion rate of the people who have page with a price above 100 euros, and the conversion rate of transaction when there's at least a product above 100 euros. It may be different, that it should have a different name if I just want to have a user conversion rate that contain only a product, at least a 100 euros, without paying attention to the fact that they have seen a product above 100 euros. I don't know if I made myself clear. So it can be very tricky to find a good name, to be understandable, and to have a lot of KPIs for. And the other thing is that in my case, we are working with a lot of countries. And every country have tried to create their own tools, their own process, and so on. So we have an existing, each country have an existing metric definition, and it's not using a conversion rate, maybe something different for a country or another one. So
then do you mean like for I don't know, like so in Germany, like they look at the number of users divided by the number of products being bought, while in France they do the number of sessions divided by the number of conversions or the number of products being bought? Do you mean it like that way, or?
Yeah, or maybe for a country in France, at now, the conversion rate is called the buyer rate, because I don't want to be. It's not the same way that I compute the conversion rate than the GA, Google Analytics.
Yeah.
So I prefer to have to avoid confusion. But it's not the case for other countries, so it's not an easy point.
But this is exactly the same for me. So so just to give you some more context, so the municipality, like I just showed you, like the example, right? So in some cases we have reports and it says like 10 clients, and then we really look at like the amount of people, like individual people. In some cases we'd say 10 clients, and then it really refers back to families, or sometimes it says like we need to act, or like we need to check whether people are not how do you say this, like misusing public resources, and so then this can be different in different areas, and so that they can mean different things. So in essence, it's exactly the same challenge that you're facing, only we're using different types of data. But so how do you go about this issue that you have? Like, do you have like this online repository where you say like, okay, well, in France, you know, like you said, like the buyer rate equals the same as in, I don't know, in Italy, the conversion rate, or how do you go about that?
At now, at first I was trying to create, how can I say, a democratic way to name each thing. I've created a meeting with everybody and try to find a solution together. But nobody was really involved in the naming of it, so I will just name it on my way. I'm not at now sure, or I will name it maybe in the metrics with the subject. For instance, a subject can be users, sessions, transactions, items, and so on. Maybe I will add the main metric name. That means conversion rate. And I will maybe add a condition at the end, above 100 euros, above I don't know. I'm not
50 euros. Yeah. Okay, Adrian, I'm also curious. Do you I don't know in which field you work, but are you familiar with this kind of issues or not?
Yeah, absolutely. Actually, I'm just going to make a suggestion, because we've got Maria. If it's okay, can I open you up so that you join the video chat on this, Maria? Is that okay? I'll tell you what, I'm just going to do it anyway. Add to stage. Here we go. There's not many people in this room. And Steen, if you wanted to open up and join in, then that's fine as well. So yeah, from my point of view, it is a problem, and it's something that a lot of people. Then it's not very sexy, is it? It's not very exciting for people to have this kind of discussion. So getting engagement is really hard, because they're like, they're quite happy for us to go away and invent something and say, we think it should look like this. And then they're full of complaints that, you know, oh, that's not going to work over here in the country that I'm in. So it's very hard to get that kind of common sense, democratic kind of, we're all engaged in solving this problem, because it's they want to do the stuff on the other side of it. They want to do the analysis. They want to find the insights and stuff. But coming up with a common language for it is a bit boring for them. That's the engagement piece is really hard.
Yeah. I think we've seen a lot of the same patterns. I did a presentation a long time ago called Worst Case Scenario, talking about all the stuff that could go wrong. And this was actually one of the key points, that because there's no common understanding of what the terms is, everybody's talking like they understand it, but nobody has agreed upon it. And it's basically one of the worst premises. It's just simple things like, what is a week? When does a week start? Have the discussion with the Americans. they will say the week starts on Sunday. Right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you could be sitting looking at week 52 and have awesome discussion why the data is not matching.
Yeah.
So it's the basic nomenclature saying how do we define stuff. And I think it's I'm gonna rant for a second, and I think it's a really interesting topic because it hurts. One of the things that I see as a key challenge in analytics is the continuity.
Yeah.
Saying
Yes.
because we don't have a given definition of things, then when somebody else comes in, they'll say, "This doesn't make sense. I will go in my direction," and then I break everything and try to rebuild it in my own image until I leave there and go somewhere else, and somebody else comes in.
Yes.
And because of that, because we don't have a common base saying this is analytics at this company, then well, it's a good time to be consultants because we get to do a lot of re-implementations that
Yes,
in the
but
bigger picture might not be necessary if they had a stronger rule of thumb.
Yeah, but it also makes a nonsense of all the historical data.
Exactly.
Like,
Yeah.
So it's every time somebody comes in and they change something, you go, oh, well, in that case, we kind of got to write off everything we've collected so far. So like you said, it's kind of good news for consultancies who make money out of change and indecision. It's not really a very smart way of operating, but sometimes it's very difficult to define our needs, not just for now, but going forward into the future. Like you can't really predict what the business is going to look like in 2 years' time. So it's very hard to build that into a model.
But so, Adrian, and Steen, but how do you tackle this? Like for now in my organization, we actually my wife, we're working in the same organization. She drew up like this process so that we have like 3 different layers, right? Like one operational, tactical, and a strategic. So the strategic level actually is like the owner of the definition. So he or she is like the director, and he or she is like the owner of the definition. And like on the operational level, like you have people who are in the operation and then who sit together and say, well, we have this. So for I work at the municipality, there's new legislation. So we get like this new entity added to our list. And then so on the tactical level, like they look like how to plot this within our data model. But so, how does this work in other organizations? And I've got a background in digital analytics. I'm more in process analytics, but I'm really wondering whether you have experience on how to deal with this.
So from our perspective, I think one of the cases where we've been most successful with it is actually flipping it around. And instead of looking at the definition of the parameters, starting with why are we tracking this? So what is the playbook? So it's kind of saying, so if anybody goes in, they will find a parameter, they will find something saying, okay, what is the objective? Why are we tracking this? Who are using it? And then drill it down from there, because otherwise you get like Wikipedia of definitions of terms that nobody will read anyway.
Yeah.
Right? So flipping it to the outcome focus, and in the outcome saying this outcome is based on these definitions. Okay. Does that make sense? Because then you get people at the other end involved, because then it's about their job, and they need to understand what the definition is, because they will need that to explain the result if there's a nerd in the room.
Yeah, fair enough. Yeah, so just to set out the premise a little bit, like I work now at a municipality, and so I work at a department where we, talk to customers, as we call them, like citizens, and so part of our work, of course, is putting into laws that we execute, right? So we have to help people to find a job. We need to give them money to survive, like those kind of things. So some of these things already, put into law, and therefore like the definitions can be derived from the law. But sometimes like the legislator, it gives you room to make your own way of working, so to speak. And then so if you drill down like the different layers, there comes more freedom on how to collect the data, so to speak.
But if you, sorry.
Go on, Steen.
Go ahead.
Go on, Steen.
No, it's fine.
I was just going to say, so okay, let's assume that we've managed to get the whole world to agree what the definitions are. Then there's 2 follow-on questions to that. It's like, where do you put those definitions? so that it's easy for them to reference? And then more importantly, how do you bake it into their processes so that they always follow the definitions? And then finally, what process do you put in place to check and monitor to make sure that no one screwed up? So it's quite hard work to do step 1, but then to do step 2, 3, and 4, it needs thinking through that. What you can't do is say, we've done the definitions, we've created a dictionary, and it's on the SharePoint, and please look at it if you'd be so kind, because people just won't.
Exactly. That's exactly where we're at now, Adrian. So we defined those 4 steps, and we're working on this data definition. But that's actually, as Steen put it, like it's becoming like this huge document, right? Like we already now have like 150 definitions, and we did like this tiny bit of our part of the legislation.
And I think you know that the bigger the book, the less chance you have of them reading it. So they'll forget it. It's not going to happen. And
we are very much a generation of people who ignore the manual, right? That's kind of who we are. We want to build things. So even if we say, there's a 600-page manual to understand our analytics, it's like first like, but I'm going to wing it. I think I'm pretty cool. And I think the challenge is I did over 4 days. I had the blessing of doing 4 half-day courses. So one was like introduction, the other was intermediate, the next was advanced, then there was a masterclass. And the challenge was I ended up doing 90% the same curriculum over the 4 sessions, because the only thing that changed was people's self-perception. So even if they were a master, there was a lot of exactly this nomenclature, basic stuff that they didn't get. So what is the definition of a visit? Right? Like,
Yeah, exactly. And that's the thing, right? Because this is a universal problem. If you work with data, I would like to say, like, it doesn't matter if you're in digital analytics or doing process analytics or what have you. I think exactly like you say, like this is the bare minimum and the basics that you need to get right, or else, like we're now most of the time stuck in meetings where the director has heard like 100 on the one side and 110 on the left side, and then he's like, which is the right number? And it all drills down that there is no consensus on the definitions that are being used.
I'm just going to jump in for a second. We have 5 minutes left in this session, and we've got 3 attendees that are not on stage, therefore they can't really speak. So I'm going to push them all onto stage. That's Anne and Denis and Stephanie. And then if you have something you want to share with us, then you can shout at the stage. There we go. It's Anne. Denis and Stephanie. Of course, you will need to turn your microphone or your video on, or preferably both.
Stop it. I'm just sharing my screen, by the way.
Oh, we should have done that before.
Yeah, sure. It makes it a lot more fun to look at each other.
So, Stephanie, you came in a little late, but did anything that we were talking about, inspire you to chip in?
Yeah, so I didn't get the full scope because I wasn't here from the beginning, but I was just thinking like the way we work is that we use like a measurement plan where we say, well, these are our objectives and this is the strategy, these are tactics we're going to do, and then we define what are the things we want to measure in data. And from there, we work with test cards. Everything we do are test cards where we define, okay, this is what we're going to test, and these are the metrics we need for this. So we give a lot of context to, like, terms in terms of KPIs and what they mean. So if it's a visit, then, okay, so what is it and why do we want to measure it? Do we want to measure if the visits go up or down? Do we really need the perfect definition of visit, or do we just need to see if it goes up or down, and is that okay? So
fair enough. Oh, but so then my question comes in, Stephanie, around the corner is like, so you make these measurement plans, which I'm also accustomed to work with, but so as you add new features or functionalities, like you need to put all those measurement plans on top of each other, right? So in every measurement plan, or perhaps you have visits, or I can imagine you have visits on all of them. So you need to make sure that they're all aligned, right? So how do you go about that? And that's my question.
Like make sure they are updated.
Yeah, fair enough.
Yeah. It's just, I think that's the thing you need to define in the process of, well, we work at an agency, so if we do anything, you need to open the test cards, you need to open the measurement plan, and all the things you do are, that's like the main hub for your work. So if you change things or add things, that's where you start from.
What platform do you use for that?
Exactly.
What tool do you use for that? Trello, or like how do you like? What is
we just use Google Sheets.
That's okay, whatever it is.
So and then now we use a lot of we have a lot of platforms for different things. We use for the measurement plan and the test cards. We just use Google Sheets, and then we use Monday for. Like I'm a head of, so I define what the strategy is going to be, and I define the tactics. I define what we're going to measure and all those things. And then in Monday, I say, well, this colleague is going to do that, or this colleague is going to do that, and you need to pay attention to this and this and that. So that's more task oriented.
So can I add something? So like I've got some people within the organization who are like data architects, right? So an enterprise architects, and so their job is to plot actually like a logical, great logical data plots, so that you actually you say Stephanie okay, so a visit embodies this. They use this tool called Abacus, or you can use Sparks Enterprise. Are these tools that you're accustomed to work with? Because I think those are the tools that actually give you the power and the chance to actually within all these measurement plans make sure that you always use the same definition of a visit for in this case.
Yeah, those are things we are not familiar with, so we don't work with those kind of things.
Okay, unfortunately, I'm going to draw this session to a close. If anything has triggered a follow-on conversation, I think there are still slots open for other sessions, particularly this afternoon. But otherwise, thank you very much, Benjamin. And I'm going to give you some claps there. There we go.
Thanks a lot.
And a thumbs up and a curious face. There we go. Thank you. Thank you.
All right. Thanks all for attending.